I see my role as being a facilitator, an in-house facilitator to make sure that the students have learning opportunities and to ensure that we have good connections with the community.
Simply respond to any questions they may have concerning entrepreneurship. And so becoming a friend of the organization.
My interest in the UEA is driven really from my observation that entrepreneurs don't do a very good job of seeking each other out. When they meet and collaborate, it's generally by chance. And the industry of entrepreneurs doesn't do a great job of capturing best practices and sharing it with each other. It's become clear to me that it's a difficult topic to teach and learn from books or classes, and it's really in the field that entrepreneurship is taught and learned through mentoring relationships and collaboration. So I think the UEA is a tremendous opportunity for students to find each other, to emerge out of the various classes and career tracks that they might be on, and bring together this subset of people interested in entrepreneurship, kind of bring them together. Otherwise it would be difficult for them to find each other. So it's a little bit of a lightning rod within Weber State for those folks to be able to come together and find each other.
To keep the group cohesive as young men and young women move through the organization. In addition to that, I think they have the responsibility and the role to be, as it says, as an advisor, a mentor, somebody that these entrepreneurs can pick up the phone to and call and talk about experiences. I mean, obviously, there's, you don't want to abuse that opportunity, but still, from the standpoint that that's why we get involved, is because we enjoy working with the students. We enjoy sharing what we know. We don't charge for it. It's, it's free advice, as it were.
There's been nothing that I feel like I've been called upon to do as an advisory member. Not to say that I wouldn't do. I'd actually probably go out of my way to help somebody from the WEA if they were to call up and say, hey, we're looking for an internship or we're looking for a job. I know that I would put kind of a lot of weight behind that. I do feel a sense of I'd love to help people from around here, and especially the WEA.
We have a company that has everything they really need together but aren't ready to present to a potential investor, a real professional presentation to an investor. And what we try to do in cases like that, if we do an initial screening and we think it's something that has some significant promise, we may spend no more than 48 hours working with that company and really get them ready, make the introductions and get them in front of an investor who could potentially put money in their company.
I just try and help out where I can. We've offered internship opportunities, come to the advisory board meetings where we talk about strategic direction of the organization and how we can tap more in the business community, how we can get more involvement with the students, and some of those things, just to be as helpful as I can. And
broaden the involvement across campus. And they have done a very good job. And every year since I've been here, they've tried different activities to get more students who are not from a traditional business background to become involved in the WEA. An ideal team of the future would be students from the business school and students from, let's say, the College of Science, College of Arts and Humanities, to really bring in a good diverse group. So when you're talking a language that's in business or in marketing specifically, you have to be able to communicate with people outside your normal confines. And having people that can bring art and design, science, mathematics to a team could really enhance the current activity of the WEA.
I think that WEA should remember that the key to acquiring entrepreneurial skill and knowledge is experience. So to the extent that the UEA might be able to organize interactions with entrepreneurs in the community and experiences together, where they have the greatest amount of meaning and interaction, that would be the key to their success. It really won't be, I think, in either listening to speakers or reading from books or being in class. I think The thing that the UEA can do that's unique on campus would be these real-world experiences, whatever those might be. If the WEA organizes itself in such a way to train the students so that they take responsibility for their mentoring and find their own mentors and develop the relationships that will serve them well for decades, in my mind that would be a very important contribution of the WEA.
To go lean and mean.
Go find a way to golf. Like, if you think about golf like nonstop, go find a way to golf. Like,
Orientation, where you really asked to go out and do a lot of work so you can understand what it's like to take some of your ideas, take some risks.
I also obviously would recommend you do a business that has no limitations.
My first thought in terms of advice for entrepreneurs would be to start now. The piece of learning that you're trying to acquire is that feeling of taking the wheel and driving. It's not so much about how big the business is or if it's a business that will last 20 years or 100 years. What entrepreneurs need sooner rather than later is the feeling of being in that chair where the buck stops here. This is where decisions are made. I am swinging without a net. I am leading and driving a business forward. That feeling is what they need to get comfortable with in order to be a good business leader going forward. So my first piece of advice would be start now. A second piece of advice that I might share is even though you plan for success and you're confident about your abilities, you need to also think about a soft landing in case of failure. Don't overcommit until you're sure you're going to be successful. And find ways to back out gently without damaging yourself and your family and your financial security.
Now's a great time to start a business. But I think it's important that you have a safety net. But with that said, with that safety net, once you have that safety net, you need to work. There's that hard work aspect of it, but you need to have something that's unique. You need to differentiate yourself from somebody else.
there will always come a time in a business cycle in your business to where you'll come up to head against a wall. And that wall you'll look at and you'll be like, man, there's no way I can get over this wall. But it's those entrepreneurs that say, I have to find a way to get over this wall. And there's certain things that lead them to that thought process, whether it's failure's not an option. Like, I can't afford to fail here. Like, I might as well try to climb this wall, and if I fall and bust my head open, that's better than not trying.
There are no complex problems. It is simply a lot of little problems exhibiting themselves as complex. And so how do you tackle these complex problems? It's a process of breaking the problem into its smaller components so that you've indeed identified the small problems that make up the large. This is true from early design of a product to beginning a company to the process of sales. All of them can be broken into incremental pieces. And that is probably the most fundamental thing one can learn in life.
There's a few things that I think that people need to learn how to do right up front. One of them is you need to figure out how to sell. If you don't learn about your customers and learn the needs of the customer and figure out a process on how to sell, you won't be in business very long. And sometimes people think, they get so caught up in the emotion or the idea of starting a business. It's just, I'm in business. I'm going to go out, I'm going to find office space, I'm going to get business cards, I'm going to do all these things that, are good things, but they're not the most important things in business.
I think it's very important to have a good global understanding, and that understanding may come from courses outside the school. Art history, music history, having the humanities in that background is very important.
Starting a business is not easy, okay? There's a lot of hard work, and the advisors can't do all that, but on occasion you run into things that you say, I wonder what to do here. What should I do here? And maybe even just pick up the phone to do that. Or, in a number of cases, there's a number of students that have ideas. And, you can bounce those ideas off members of the advisory board.
I think my advice for the entrepreneurs would be very simple, and that is the economy of the future is not going to be created by large corporations. I think it's obvious in watching the economic history that we've been through in the last year. You could even go back further than that. Large companies are not where the job creation happens. It happens in small enterprises. And so the future, I'm not exaggerating when I say this, I really believe the future economic growth of the United States and around the world is going to be driven by the decisions made by entrepreneurs to pursue their dreams.